Okay, welcome to episode 3 of the Bang Podcast. I am your co-host Kyle Whedon, here with Grady Gallagher. Grady, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Whedon? Excited for our guest today.
Yeah, doing very well. Super excited for our guest. I'll do a quick intro for him. Grady, what does Coach Tom Wilson, Todd Graham, Adam Gase, and Brian Flores have in common?
Well, I know Tom Wilson is the Dowling coach, and the last couple guys were Miami Dolphins coaches, but I don't know what do they have in common.
They were the head coaches of the football team, football teams for our guest today, Matt Haack. So Matt, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Probably just bounce back and forth with questions here. Grady, why don't you lead us off?
Sure. Matt, thanks so much for being on. We appreciate it. So you are the current Miami Dolphins punter. Just tell us, you can start high school, you can start before high school, but just tell us about your journey to this current point in your life, maybe starting with Dowling, then going to Arizona State, and then where you're at right now.
So you're leading me off with probably the longest answer I'll give you all day.
That's great.
But it's crazy because in high school, when I was playing for Dowling, I was actually a wide receiver. Just kind of punting on the side because we did the rollout punt, which basically Coach Wilson told me to run it if it was open. If it wasn't, just pooch it down the field. And one day before my senior year, my mom was like, hey, like, what if you are in a state championship game, backed up in your own end zone and had to punt normal and they didn't have you roll out? She's like, would you know how to do it? I was like, well, not really. I just kick it. So I ended up going to an Iowa State punting camp before my senior year. And a guy by the name of Jamie Cole was running the camp. He owns Cole's Kicking Camp. So he trains most of the guys in like the NFL and college and high school. He's the guy that picks the Under Armour All-American game specialist. I had no idea who he was. He didn't know who I was. But so that whole day I was there. My mom actually had left. My dad didn't even go. I mean, I kind of there on my own and ended up winning the whole camp for punting. And he was like, who the hell are you? I was like, well, I mean, I'm not even a punter really. And he was like, well, you could punt in college if you wanted to. Like, come with me to my camps and we'll get you noticed by some coaches. And at first, my mom had come back by then. We thought it was kind of like a money thing where he just wanted me to come and follow him around and go to his camps and stuff. But got home that night and I woke up the next morning and my dad was like, pack your bag. We're flying to Arizona. What are you talking about? He's like, we're going with this guy he's got a punting camp at Arizona State tomorrow. My dad had been up with him on the phone till like 3 a.m. trying to figure out if he was like legit, all this stuff. My dad did his research and found out he was. And I went on a week-long basically journey from Arizona State, Bakersfield, California, Stanford, Miami, Notre Dame, punting in front of all these coaches. And in the middle of that journey, Arizona State had actually offered me. But honestly, I still didn't really know how to punt. So it took me a long time from my freshman year at Arizona State to my senior year to actually kind of figure out what I was doing, and just kept chipping away. And honestly, Arizona State ended up being a blessing because I could literally train all year round outside and got some good coaching and just kind of got coordinated with it, and stuff started falling in the right place. And it's funny with special teams in the NFL, a lot of it's just right time, right place. Because a lot of guys are good enough to punt or kick or snap in the NFL. Now game scenarios are different, and guys coming at you and stuff like that. But I mean, a lot of people go out in your backyard and probably hit a good ball and stuff like that. But again, like right time, right place, and Miami was it.
That's awesome. So I'm going to back it up really quick. Did you have other offers for colleges to go punt at?
So it was actually just Iowa State and Arizona State.
Was it? And you picked Arizona State just because of the weather and stuff, or how come you picked them?
Yeah, a little bit. I Iowa State originally was a gray shirt offer, which is I would have had to wait basically a full year to be on the team and all this stuff, and had to be a part-time student. But then they ended up turning around and giving me an actual offer once Arizona State offered me. But I was born in Arizona, had some family there. We'd go there every year for spring break, and I mean, I just when I went on the my visit there, I mean, I already knew what it was all about, but I loved it, and honestly, it was a pretty easy decision for me.
Tempe is pretty sweet. I lived in Peoria for about a year and a half, so we overlapped a little bit, and I did make it over to one ASU game, and I actually got a chance to go into that Tillman Tunnel too.
Oh yeah,
What a cool experience that is. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah. I mean, Pat Tillman is basically on every wall. I mean, every street in at ASU. I mean, he's literally my hero there, and it's pretty cool to kind of be there and learn the history of him and how he was and the way he played the game and stuff like that. That they do a big Tillman run every year for charity and stuff. So I mean, he's literally at the center of everything they do for ASU football.
Yeah.
So Matt, I think you were undrafted, correct?
Correct.
So tell me about the process. Did you do specific workouts for teams? How did you land in Miami?
So it's actually the whole process starts basically right as your college season's over. You get an agent, which in my situation, like I had a decent college career, but nothing like, oh, this guy's gonna go play in the NFL type thing. So I didn't really have any agents really even interested in me. The agent I have now actually is the one that called me, and he basically said, I'm going to offer to represent you because I kicked at ASU however many years ago, and we think you're good, but we'll see if you're good enough. You know, hopefully we get you a workout, or hopefully we can get you into a rookie mini camp. And so signed with him, trained up until I didn't get invited to the combine, but there's actually a specialist little combine type thing that Jamie Cole puts on, who I was talking about earlier, for guys that are not invited to the actual combine or free agents that have played in the NFL that are on a team. That's actually at ASU. He runs it there. So I ended up winning that there, which kind of sparked some attention because he talks to teams and sends out all the numbers and video and all that stuff. And then a few weeks later, maybe 2 weeks later, we had our pro day. And our kicker at the time, Zane Gonzalez, he's with the Cardinals right now. He was like the number one kicking prospect that year. So we had all the coaches there, which favored me, even if they weren't looking at me. And I ended up having a really good day then too. And basically, I had a handful of coaches say, like, we weren't looking for a punter, but we think we found one. And Miami called and invited me to a visit. So they can call and invite 30 guys every year to come visit. So I went and did that, and kind of the whole draft process is weird because all these teams are saying, oh, we want to draft you, all this stuff, which, you know, it's take it with a grain of salt, but didn't get drafted. But basically Miami was on the phone with my agent as the draft was ending, and with the visit and how interested they were. And I love the special teams coach and everything there, and kind of just ended up picking Miami. And then during camp, it's literally just you and the other guy battling it out. I mean, at practice, they chart every punt, every game, every punt. I mean, even your holding for field goals, they evaluate. So they literally evaluate everything you do. And I was fortunate enough to beat them out.
When did you know, not only did you have the ability to be a punter in the NFL, but when did you know you had the job locked up? And you probably have to have like a certain like confidence, you know what I mean, going into it. So like, when did all that kind of click, and when did you realize like, hey, I'm about to be an NFL punter?
My going into my junior year, actually probably going into my senior year at ASU, my special teams coach had actually been a special teams coach in the NFL for 11 years for the Packers. I think it was 11. It might have been more, but he was with the Packers for a long time. And he was saying, you know, like, if you do this, this, and this, I mean, you had the leg to play in the NFL and all this stuff. And I mean, as a kid, you always dream about playing, and I mean, at least I always dreamed about playing professional sports and stuff like that. But as you grow up, you know it's a long shot and stuff. And I knew at the time, like I didn't think I was good enough, like consistency wise and stuff like that. But kind of just kept working, and I knew I had a big enough punt to compete with any of the guys in the NFL. It's just a matter of doing it over and over and over again, and also being able to put the ball inside the 20-yard line and all that kind of stuff.
Which you do pretty well.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of opportunities to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I wouldn't say there was a specific moment where something maybe like clicked for me. I've always been a guy that if I put my mind to something, I'm just going to work as hard as I can. And if I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And if I'm good enough, then hopefully the work shows for it. So, I didn't, and again, like after camp and preseason, my rookie year, I mean, I went into after that last preseason game. I mean, it's basically a coin toss. I mean, my numbers and stuff had been better that preseason, but the guy that had been there had only been there for 2 years. They liked him, they know him, so you never know like what kind of relationship he's got there, or what kind of different stuff he had been working on that obviously I wouldn't have known that him and the coach were going over. So I kind of went in there with the expectation is I'm going to give it all I got. And I'm going to make them make a decision rather than making it easy on them, and did well enough to do that. And actually, I mean, my family was probably just as shocked as I was when I got the call and said I made the team. So
That's awesome.
So Matt, what's a typical, because, you know, again, I have nowhere near the knowledge of you. I think of an NFL punter going to practice, kicking a few punts, and going home. What goes into like an NFL practice for you, and how many live reps do you kind of get during a typical practice?
yeah, so it's actually, I think it's different for every team, just from talking to guys around the league of how teams do it. Some guys they'll get all their stuff done right away, and then while the rest of the team's practicing, they'll be done and they'll go work out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our coaching staff is a little different. We're all about like situations, and we're going to be good at situations. And so like I'll go out early. They have me punt early. I punt and walk through, so I'm basically live the whole time. Then I get a little bit of a break while they're doing like their individual periods and like the 7-on-7s and team periods. But then I'll actually go in and have another period of punt, like in the middle of practice. So I kind of got to stay ready. And then when I'm done with that, I'm actually done punting for that day. But then we'll have a field goal period at the end. So basically, I'm doing stuff the whole day. Yep. Unlike in college where I was done, I had to stay at practice, but I was done in college after like period 3 out of like 15. Mm. So, I mean, it's different for every team, but for us, but you don't kick every day either. So I basically kick every other day. So the days I don't kick, we're still out there for whatever scout team punt and stuff like that. So
the days that you do kick, how many punts typically are you getting off?
I would say live in an actual team period, probably anywhere from 12 to 20.
Okay. But
kicks in a day, I'm probably reaching 50 plus.
Okay. And is it more stressful for you, the live punt reps or the live field goal reps?
Punts. Field goal, I'm just holding.
Okay.
It is stressful. It's harder than it looks, but I mean, all eyes are on the kicker. So
yeah.
I was going to say, I forget who it was.
It's all good.
Yeah. I was going to say, I forget who it was last weekend. I don't know if you saw a clip of it, Matt, but some holder, it was a guy, it was a veteran. The long snap was just awful. And the guy catches the ball way outside and like flips it back, does like a quick spin with the ball, and the kicker got it off. Did you see that clip?
Was it Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think it was. That's right.
That was pretty impressive.
That was cool. That was one of the best holds I've ever seen.
Yeah, and people don't realize how fast that happens too. Like a snap to kick for field goal is 1.2 seconds.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to do that quick is pretty impressive.
Yeah. What does so obviously you got to have a strong leg. How important is flexibility and strength training, and what are you doing like in a typical NFL like week? What are you doing to stay flexible? What's your strength training routine look like? And how do you stay flexible?
I think my opinion anyway, I think there's a misconception about flexibility. I think you have to have a good balance of flexibility and strength. Because if you're too flexible and you don't have the strength, then you're not going to have any power. But if you're not flexible enough, then you're not going to be able to get the hang time and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it's I try not to, during game weeks, a lot of guys will like kind of take the load off lifting and stuff. I mean, we'll have lift after a game, the day after a game to kind of flush out the recovery, but then another lift in the middle of the week during a game week. And I kind of I try to stay strong because like in the off season, I'm actually doing more than in the in season, like workout wise, obviously staying in shape and stuff. In season, my focus is more on kicking. But I mean, basically, it's only about 2 to 3 days a week. 3 days a week, I'm lifting, and I mean, basically, I stretch every day because we're stretching at practice and kicking and working out and all that stuff. But I mean, for me personally, I think you got to have a good balance of both to be a good kicker, punter in the NFL or in general, really.
So Matt, how much, other than special teams guys, how much contact do you get with like maybe like Brian Flores or the quarterbacks or the defensive players on the team in a given week?
Yeah, I mean, coaches, it's other than the special teams coach, assistant special teams coach, and the head coach, and some of the assistants. I mean, some of the guys I'll probably hardly ever talk to, or I'll say hi or what's up in the lunchroom or as I'm walking by them and stuff. But special teams coach, obviously, I talk to the most. The head coach usually only talk to if you do something really good or really bad, which is what it is. And other than that, like guys on the team, it's not quite like college where like you're living with everybody and you're doing everything together and stuff. I mean, just the age difference from rookies to vets in the team and stuff like that. I mean, everyone's got their own lives, families, stuff like that. But I mean, I would say I hang out with a handful of guys. I mean, I used to go to a lineman's apartment all the time. He's one of my good buddies, obviously the specialist. Play golf with some of the other guys, some linebackers, some running backs, some wide receivers. So, I mean, it's pretty random, but I mean, everyone's pretty cool with each other. It's just, I wouldn't say everyone is all like college, like all going hanging out on the weekends every weekend. It's a little different in that aspect.
So we're in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, this season has looked a little different, and every week it seems like there's one team that has COVID running through it. So tell us what a COVID week looks like for you guys. The testing, even leading up to game day, like there's got to be some stress behind that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's in order to make this NFL season happen, they had to put in a ton of protocols for good. I mean, I can't imagine what it'd be like if we didn't have these protocols and what all the numbers would look like. But I mean, originally we were going to be tested like 5 or 6 days a week, but now with some of the outbreaks, it's literally every single day. We get our results back, I think in 24 hours or something like that. Your temperature checked every day. A bunch of signs and stuff in the locker rooms. You got to wear masks, hand sanitizer everywhere. We have to wear these trackers on our wrists that if you're within 6 feet of somebody, it starts blinking at you if you're there for too long and stuff like that. So they literally tracking everything. Even the hotels we've stayed at, I guess, are completely bought out. So no one else is there while we're there. They have third-party companies come clean the rooms, and the hotel people clean the rooms and stuff to make sure no one gets it.
That's crazy.
The meeting rooms, like there's usually no more than 15 guys in a meeting room, so we're a lot of the meetings are on Zoom, even in season. Workouts are the same way. Half the guys are working out in our indoor bubble, and the other guys are in the other half's in the weight room. It is pretty crazy.
So I kind of want to go you can answer this COVID or non-COVID, but 2 questions. One, best stadium in your opinion in the NFL to play in. And number 2, most intimidating person on your team or another team that you've come across in the NFL.
I'll start with stadium. I actually really like our stadium, but I'm biased. But if I had to pick another stadium, I actually really like Minnesota Stadium.
Okay.
I've never I've never played in the new LA Stadium yet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played in the Vegas Stadium. I haven't played in that in Arizona. So there's a few I haven't been to, but overall, I'd probably say ours or Minnesota. And
So
then,
2 of the newer ones, right?
Yeah. The new, I mean, you can, in my opinion, you can tell the older ones from the newer ones.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them are bad, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the weather sucks, then I just assume that stadium sucks with the weather. But,
Yeah, that could ruin the experience.
But most intimidating guy, maybe Ndamukong Suh. He was on my team my rookie year. He's actually a really cool dude. I mean, he would talk to me even, and he was just so focused, had his routine, kind of did stuff his way, and just the way he played was. I mean, you guys watch him on TV. It's great.
What a large human being he is.
Massive.
Can you hit the scoreboard at AT&T Stadium? I know some punters have.
I did. I actually did last year at warm-ups.
You did?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a rite of passage. You're on the way to the Hall of Fame.
But I heard a funny story about that actually. The punter that was 2 punters before me at ASU, Brandon Fields, that played there, or not at ASU, in Miami. Played in Miami for like 9 years, I think. I guess he was warming up one game. This was before they even raised it up, but he hit it in pregame. I guess Jerry Jones came down to him and said, "Hey, son, like, what's your name?" And told him his name. He goes, "If you ever hit that scoreboard again, I'll make sure you never play in this league again," or something like that.
Oh my God.
That's just a story. I don't know if it's true, but I think that's
serious.
Yeah, I don't know. So last year when we played there, I actually tried not hitting it. Just punted at the sideline.
What's your favorite spot back in Des Moines to eat at? I wanted to ask you that question.
Francie's.
Let's go. Francie's is so good.
I live right next to it basically, and grew up going there all the time, so it has to be Francie's.
Shout out to Cass. He helps kind of set this up too, and he works there right now. So
yeah. He's one
love
of my best
Francie's.
friends.
So good.
Yeah.
So Matt, you guys have had a great start to the season so far. What's kind of your opinion on the rest of the season or the outlook, and what are people around the team and the coaches kind of saying to you?
Yeah, it's crazy in the NFL. I mean, no matter what year it is or whatever schedule you get that year, you can't look at a schedule in the NFL and think, oh, that's an easy win, or that's. I mean, it's anybody can beat anybody. I know there's like teams like the Patriots had been and the Chiefs and stuff, but I mean, in my opinion, in this league, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. We definitely got the guys in the locker room to be able to do it. The talent, and guys work hard every week. It's crazy how much these guys are putting in, and it's showing on the field and stuff. And the coaches are the same. So I mean, it's hard for me to look at a schedule and be like, oh, we're winning all these or losing all these. Like, basically, you got to take it 1 week at a time. And like I said earlier, we're a big situational team. You win the situations, there's a good chance you're going to win the game. So that's really the focus.
Give me your Arizona State Mount Rushmore. What 4 athletes are on it? And you can include yourself too.
Mount Rushmore, like guys that I played with, or
any previous guys or anything like that. Give me your 4 best Arizona State athletes.
I would say obviously Pat Tillman. You got to start there.
Mhm.
Maybe Jake Plummer. I might put our kicker on there, Zane.
He was a beast.
Yeah, and then
Lou Dort. Do you know who that is?
it sounds familiar.
He plays on the Thunder. He's a basketball player. I didn't know.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about all sports?
Give me your football. Give me all sports. I want to do that.
Football. All sports. Obviously Tillman. You got to put. You guys ever heard of Anthony Robles?
It sounds familiar. Who is it?
He won a national championship there as a wrestler with one leg.
Oh, okay. Yep.
He's got to be up there. I almost forgot Terrell Suggs.
So
Be up there.
I'm gonna list off some people you're missing here when you're done. So get ready.
Probably. I wasn't expecting this, so I'm probably missing way too many people.
That's why I did it. We got Barry Bonds.
I was just about to say probably Barry Bonds.
Al Michaels went to ASU. We have Byron Scott, former NBA coach. Fat Lever for Brock Osweiler.
Brock, yeah. He actually went to Miami 2 years ago.
John Rahm. So there's some really good.
James Harden.
What's that?
James Harden.
James Harden is right. So when I lived in Arizona, I think we maybe hit on this quick. I saw a game where Kalen Balaj had 7 touchdowns. What is your best memory from like an Arizona State game? Any one moment? Was it Jalen Rager that caught that Hail Mary touchdown? I think I remember that.
Yeah, Jalen Strong.
Jalen Strong, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
That was insane. I mean, I'd probably say that's probably one of the top.
Is that number 1?
Overall team stuff, yeah, it's got to be number 1. The Hail Mary.
Who was that against?
USC at USC.
Yeah, that's a pretty big win.
That was cool. Or beating UCLA in the Rose Bowl. That was pretty cool too.
That's awesome. So we're a sports podcast. Give us some hot takes. What other sports do you follow?
I'm basketball, baseball, actually golf. I've been watching golf a lot. I've been getting into that.
Let's start with basketball quick. Who's your favorite basketball team or player, anything like that?
I say I'm a Suns fan, but the way I watch sports, I usually root for the underdog, but
yeah.
I'm a Suns fan. I would say for NBA.
Well, the Suns are pretty much the ultimate underdog most of the time.
They did well in the bubble, so we're on.
Ain't no Suns. That's right.
On the rise.
They've got some moves to make this offseason. Hopefully, they can get Devin Booker another piece or two.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep.
How's your golf game? What's an average round for you?
Honestly, it depends on the time of year. Like, right, I just played golf for the first time the other day, and I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and it was absolutely awful. But I've had rounds where I've shot low 80s and stuff, so I'm all over the place.
Who's the best golfer on the team on the Dolphins?
Our kicker is really good. But I haven't played with a lot of guys, but our kicker, like he had done some lessons and stuff previously, and in the offseason, right before all this COVID stuff hit, he was going to enter a tournament back in California where he's from to try to compete. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
I'd say him, but I don't play with very many guys. So.
Well, I think that's a good segue into punter to kicker action. Why don't you give us a quick breakdown on your touchdown pass to Jason Sanders a couple years ago, or what was it? Was it last year?
Last year, yeah. That was one of those plays where we had practiced it for 5 or 6 weeks. First time we ran it, you would think they're never going to run this in a game because it was terrible, really awful. But honestly, it kind of just kept getting better at it. Coaches kind of kept throwing in new wrinkles when they would think of something or kind of add on to it. At first, it was one way, that's all we're doing, this and that. But then it turned into, well, we want to run it, so we're going to be able to do it whatever hash it's on, whatever direction we want to go. But the hard part was it had to be against a certain look. which it's a pretty standard look against any split formations in the NFL because everyone basically goes man to man by then. But so I remember we were playing the Eagles, and our coach before that week said, if there's any week to run it, it's going to be this week. And we were like, all right, just like the last 5 weeks, but we're ready for it if it gets called. And we get down to the 1 yard line, it's 4th and goal in the 1. It's like we're either going to go for it or they're going to throw us out there. And like next thing I know, the coach turns around and goes, here we go, Mountaineer shot. And we were like, really? Run out there, did all the shifts, and I'm standing there like, this is the look. We're actually running this thing. And once I got the ball, like it happened so fast that part of it blanked to me. Like it happened so fast that, and luckily he was open. He was supposed to have a guy on him, but he was open.
2 follow-up questions. Did you mean to do a no-look pass? Because I think you did a no-look pass on it too.
I think I looked briefly and saw him, but after I saw him and tossed it, I had 4 guys running at me. So my instincts after that was not to get destroyed. So that's what that kind of turned into. But no, I don't think it was no look, or I didn't mean to be no look.
Yeah. And then I know you have ice in your veins, but were you a little bit nervous before that?
A little bit. I mean, it's one of those plays where it's either going to work like it did or it's going to be absolutely terrible and it's going to be a bust. So, I mean, but it was fun though. Like I was ready for it, but yeah you never know.
Yeah.
All right, last question I got, and then you can finish us out, I think. Appreciate your time, Matt. But Matt, are you a Madden player currently or formerly?
I actually don't play Madden.
Okay.
I don't know why. I've played it before, but it's never been a game that I've gotten super into. Maybe because I play, I don't know. But I just never been super into Madden.
So one thing I have to ask, because it was one of my favorite mini games on like Madden 2004, was the coffin corner punt.
Oh yeah, I played that.
Okay. Is that an actual drill that you do, and how effective are you at that drill in real life?
I've never actually done that drill specifically, no.
Okay.
But I mean, every week we work on those punts, so I get a lot of work at it.
That's awesome. I am out of questions too. I think we've hit our 30-minute mark. Yeah, great. If you don't have anything else, we appreciate you being on today, Matt.
Well, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Absolutely. Hopefully you can be a reoccurring guest. And Dolphins play the Rams next on November 1st.
Yep.
After the bye week. So hopefully everybody stays healthy and COVID free, and good luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, best of luck, Matt. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.